alive, man. I've been in so many meetings. I have been so many events. I'm kind of like losing my voice too. I'm like, good lord. So, but I mean, yesterday we had, Binance blockchain week right in the Coca-Cola arena. Insane.
And did he make any appearance by any chance at all, or?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he did. He, as per his Twitter post, it's supposed to be at 4 p.m. in Dubai. So, I don't know.
Excellent.
I haven't seen much. I haven't because I haven't seen any videos or anything like that. So who knows? I'm not sure. But I will be going today, again. But this time just going to check it. Check what's happening at the Binance Blockchain Week. So I mean, it's been a buzz. I mean, it's nice to check out Sleepwalk. It's actually pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean, I think October, November, December. Apart from the prices of Bitcoin pumping up, I think there are quite a lot of activities taking place.
I know, right?
In the Middle East, isn't it?
No, true that. Yeah. I know. We got a couple of things to cover, but I believe that we are just going to be focused on just purely Bitcoin. Right?
No, not necessarily. I mean, because there's some massive news regarding Chainlink as well, Markose, which I'd love to discuss. But a part of Chainlink's news is that they're going to be integrating with Bitcoin as well. But yeah, we're going to be talking about everything, Bitcoin, shitcoins. And I thought, later on we'll just have a discussion as to, does blockchain require artificial intelligence? So, it'd be great if you get your input regarding the Foundation.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, sure. That's a good topic. So yeah, but hey, you know what? Let's start it off with the macro level. What's happening in Bitcoin? What's the dominance situation right now?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's dominance has definitely been bit our pace. But for our listeners and for our audience today, we will be having a guest who is the managing director of Bitcoin Inc. in the MENA region. So probably around 30 minutes from now, he will be joining us and he'll be telling us more about, what the Bitcoin MENA event is all about. But yeah, Markose, so one trend which I'm observing is since the last few weeks in particular, Bitcoin's dominance has been pumping up and the prices of Bitcoin has been pumping up as well, isn't it? Now, could it be possible, let's say by today, we reach a new all-time high for Bitcoin? Most likely, yes. Now, I can only think of, a couple of reasons as to why the prices are pumping up. The first one is probably the biggest one, that is the US elections coming up. I have this feeling that President Donald Trump has a clean sweep. And if that thing happens, most likely, yes, the prices of Bitcoin will be pumping up, or rather should be pumping up. Apart from that, there were a couple of economic data that was released as well, which does actually state that the US economy is not doing that bad. But more importantly, Markose, after the US election, that is on the 7th of November, there is an FOMC meeting, and Federal Chair Jerome Powell will be making a decision whether to reduce the interest rate, keep it the same, or go ahead and increase it. Now, there's a very high possibility that, he might just keep it the same. I don't think so. He might reduce it, at least at this point of time. But nonetheless, both of this news is definitely positive for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So that is one of the reasons why I do feel, October is definitely good for the price of Bitcoin. I'm not sure about meme coins, Markose. Have you heard any news regarding meme coins as such? Because I tried to check. Usually what happens is whenever the prices are bumping up, it's the meme coins that usually bumps up by 100%, 200%, certain cases even 400%, isn't it?
Yeah. As far as meme coins, it's funny you mentioned that because me and Mike, who is the chairman of the Old Foundation, so we met a young team from Canada, I guess. So they made a meme coin on CZ, Zhao. So I thought that was So I thought that was interesting, and they could have gone on Solana and stuff, but they thought it would be off-brand because why would CZ be on Solana? So they are hard pressed and they're going quite strong on what do you call on BNB chain. It's just just slipped my mind. Yeah.
Binance BNB chain is interesting. I mean, I do see that the volume has been going down. That is only because of the regulators going after Binance CC. But talking about regulators, Marcus,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is a hot topic, not just in U.S. elections, but also so far as Bitcoin is concerned. And what just happened a
Oh,
few days
snap.
ago is that a bill called as House Bill 2041, also called as Bitcoin Rights Bill, this has been passed. Now, what's really interesting is that this has been passed with a really strong support. So it is 176 to 26. Needless to say, it is the Democrats, the 26 of them, who have rejected it. But what happens now is it is the governor of Pennsylvania, that is Josh Shapiro. He has to go ahead and approve it. Based on my understanding, I would say 99.99% he might not approve it. Because, if he does go ahead and approve it, that is a win for President Donald
Yeah.
Trump and massive win for Republicans. And with US elections, with the drama going on
Yeah.
specifically since the last 72 hours in Pennsylvania, I really am not sure if the Bitcoin rights bill does actually go ahead and get approved. Now, for our listeners, this particular rights of the Bitcoin rights bill will be implemented in other states as well. So essentially, it protects residents' rights to go ahead and self-custody digital assets along with other cryptocurrencies as well. But you can go ahead and use Bitcoin for payments, and it also establishes tax guidelines.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be really interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised again, 99.99% chance, only because of political reasons he goes ahead and does not sign the bill.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume these guys go by policy and all that stuff, but I don't know.
But
My expectations are low, but my disappointment is so high.
that is a good way of putting it. And either way, I think it is a win for the Republicans because let's say if it does get approved, the Republicans will take credit. Let's say if it does not get signed by him, Republicans are going to say, look, your governor who does not like Bitcoin is the one who's not signing it. So either way, I do think it's a win for Republican. But again, the timing of it is a bit cheeky. If they really wanted it, this could have been done a couple of months ago as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it's not only the Republicans, it's not only the Democrats who needs to be blamed. I think the Republicans should take partial blame for delaying it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of political, maneuvering and saber rattling,
And regarding regulations, Paxos, they are the guys who go ahead and manage pretty much all of the stable coins. They have also sent out an official letter to Donald Trump as well as Kamala Harris, and they are asking for clarity regarding regulations of stable coins. Now, look, Marcus, we have discussed this. I personally think that stablecoin issuers, they are literally replacing the role of a bank. We had a session where we talked about, they do not follow the ethos of open blockchain. So they are a centralized entity. And I do feel regulations are definitely needed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And kudos to United Arab Emirates. I mean, the regulations are crystal clear, spot on. It has to be backed by UAE Dirham. But we talked about a stable coin in UAE that was AED coin. Have you heard any updates regarding that, Marcus?
None. No. So far, I have asked around, talked to them folks. I'm still not getting any info whatsoever. Not sure.
Yeah, if any of the listeners do have any information regarding AED Stablecoin LLC, please go ahead and update it. Please go ahead and update us. We would definitely need to get some information as to who the founders are. There's a general manager for a stablecoin apparently, but there's not much information beyond that. But yeah, regarding regulations for stablecoins, I do think regulations are definitely needed. And talking about regulations, Marcus, there was a bit of drama going on since the last 72 hours, and this was to do with Tether USDT. Well, the drama was started because of a fake news by Wall Street Journal. This goes back to, something that did happen in July, where the founder of Ripple, in one of the podcasts, he said that the US authorities are going after Tether USDT, but Palo, the CEO of Tether USDT, clearly mentioned via Twitter that he has not received any information. But I'm going to read out exactly, Marcus, what he said. He said in his tweet that we deal regularly and directly with law enforcement officials to help prevent rogue nations, terrorists, and criminals from misusing the USDT. So can the USDT go ahead and censor or stop all of your transactions? The answer to that is yes. Can anyone go ahead and stop, let's say, Monero or Bitcoin? Next to impossible, isn't it? So,
Yeah, next impossible.
so
Yes,
that is,
sir.
yeah,
Yes,
this
sir.
goes back, to the pillars of open blockchain. So I keep harping this thing quite often. Regulations are great, but when you fall into the regulation trap, they do have certain rights, and because of which,
Yeah.
I wasn't too content regarding the RAG DAO that we talked about last week.
Yeah. And by the way, I was there at the Crypto OG's second anniversary celebration by
Uh,
Andres Meneses. My apologies to him, but I did get a chance to meet with Irina. So I did
oh,
show
the
the
lawyer.
post where you talked to, yeah, well, yeah. So because she didn't remember, but I did show your profile, also show the post to her, and talking about the framework and stuff, and she told us like exactly, so just
Yeah,
as a confirmation again. So yeah, thanks to special thank you to Irina. But speaking of Irina, um, she is potentially maybe interested to join us on our live stream, so we could tag her and
that'd
let
be
her know,
brilliant. Yeah,
and she's
yeah. I
welcome.
think yeah,
Yeah,
I've
because
seen her LinkedIn post, and she is absolutely spot on. It's no bullshit. Absolutely spot on and crystal clear information. She was the
man,
one
it's
who
like a rare
clarified.
NFT though. If you
Yeah,
can find someone,
that's
yeah.
nicely put. She's the one who clarified the whole misleading information regarding cryptocurrency salaries, or rather, cryptocurrencies to be accepted as salaries in UAE, isn't it?
Yeah,
She was the
yeah,
one who
yeah,
clarified it. But
yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be
Um,
great to have her on, the unfiltered chat. I think, the information that she puts on is absolutely spot on. Now, one thing which we touched upon earlier on, Marcus, when you asked is today's session going to be only about Bitcoin, not necessarily
mm,
because I
yeah.
very strongly feel in 2024 and going forward, Marcus, Chainlink might just turn out to be an absolutely massive deal. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of Chainlink, but ever since they
Yeah.
had, the Chainlink CCIP, that is Chainlink Interoperability Protocol, I do think, every second or
Oh,
third day, I'm seeing some really great partnership. And more importantly, Marcus, these partnerships, these are, with some really top companies, let's say like Swift, and later on we'll go ahead and discuss the other two partnerships that they have done. But I think
yeah.
what our listeners should do is check out Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol, because it looks like they're solving the whole interoperability issue. And what is interesting to note is you don't even need to have any coding experience as such. So they have set up the foundation pretty much for the so-called first world computer to be successful. And we've also discussed this Markos, the founder of Chainlink, that is Sergey Nazarov. There was a very high possibility where people were talking that he could be Satoshi Nakamoto. And there is a really great episode of him with Lex Friedman where they got and discussed quite a lot of things in terms of, what Bitcoin essentially is. And what our listeners can also do is, if you go to the Chrome browser and just type in smartcontracts.com, it does actually take you to Chainlink Labs. And he did actually buy that domain name 2 years before Bitcoin's white paper was released. So, it looks like Sergey Nazarov is definitely making quite a lot of moves, Marcos, in 2024. Now, one news which we discussed was Chainlink's move with Swift, isn't it? And they
All
want to
right.
revolutionize the banking industry. And apart
Yeah.
from that, regarding Bitcoin, Marcos, they're also integrating with Bitcoin. Now, they're doing that with a Bitcoin layer 2 solution called a Spider Chain. And Spider Chain is designed to be compatible with Ethereum virtual machine. So I'm not sure how it would work. I'm hoping that they allow applications as smart contracts from Ethereum to be easily deployed on Bitcoin as well. So let's say you're doing all of your things on Ethereum, but it will be connected to Bitcoin as well. Now, I'm not sure Bitcoin maximalist or the hardcore OGs of Bitcoin will be liking this particular news. But the only reason why, Marcus, I do think Chainlink will be a big deal is the whole tokenization hype is because of Larry Fink, isn't it? And Larry Fink,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
he had a project called as Beddle. And a lot of the teams, they're kind of associated with Chainlink, and Chainlink is kind of associated with that as well. So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised, let's say, Chainlink as a protocol, not necessarily the token as such, might just be in the top 3 or top 5.
Hmm.
And earlier today in my Crypto and
Yeah.
Coffee at 8 podcast, I also covered two more news regarding Chainlink. This is regarding Chainlink runtime environment. So
Okay.
essentially, they are focusing on privacy for institutional transactions. They also wanted to be chain agnostic, which
Makes
means
sense.
Markose. You talked about the NFT for CZ. It could be
Yeah.
done on Binance BNB chain. At the same time, let's say someone from Solana can buy it as well, but
Yeah.
they will be using Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol. And
Interesting.
I think it is already ready, and
Yeah.
it might go live probably next year.
I was about to say in terms of their interoperability, because I also noticed. I'm also starting to pay attention to Axelar. Axelar is also quite a good interop. Their main focus is interoperability, so which is quite interesting to see. Like, there is this sort of like a strong undercurrent when it comes to oracles like Chainlink and also Fifth, which
Yep.
is with Solana. Now, they offer the most lowest fees, but they also have some of the most highest number of partnerships. So
Oh, I see.
it is interesting because like what is happening that in that arena. So and I think if Pekka is here, Papa Blockchain,
Yep.
he's a big fan of Chainlink. So definitely he loves the proposition of what Chainlink has to offer, and he has recommended me to get some Chainlink. So I
The
will have to
link
admit
token, isn't it?
yeah. So yeah, like at least get some because the future is that a lot of these big institutions, but especially like he also doesn't like him. I also don't like him. I don't trust him too. But they would have no choice but to use it. You know that's the I think that was just to oversimplify it. So obviously Pekka has said more. So just want to make it clear. But I can see where he's coming from. So, but I'm also kind of curious. You got Chainlink, you got Axelar, which is not really Oracle, but interoperable. It's an interoperable protocol, I guess. And fifth, I don't know. I mean, Solana's also been making some big moves, so I don't know. But Chainlink
Yeah.
again, this merger with Swift, and now with Spider Chain. Wow, lately a lot of these L1s have been starting to connect with Bitcoin. The last week, Cardano made an announcement that they're going to be, what do you say, trying to connect with the Bitcoin ecosystem. So really interesting stuff. So yeah, anyway, do you, sir?
Bitcoin is the king of all kings, isn't it? Now, I was just earlier today, I was just sending my friend a message, and I just actually asked him, why a couple of countries are not accepting or proactive regarding Bitcoin, and we talked about India and China, and the answer to that is pretty simple. According to me, Marcus, Bitcoin is the purest form of money, and because
Yeah.
of that, notorious politicians, they can't cheat, they can't lie, they can't have bribe if, let's say, Bitcoin does get universally accepted.
Oh,
So
cry me a
notorious
river,
politicians will
guys.
definitely try to go after, try
Cry
to
me a
delay the adoption of Bitcoin.
river.
But United Arab Emirates, they're definitely been adopting Bitcoin, isn't it? They're definitely proactive
Yeah,
so far as
yeah.
Bitcoin is
Okay,
concerned.
which is surprising. I mean, if you really think about it, you would, general assumption would be that the West, if you're talking about the United States, Canada, uh, Australia, UK, they all preach about democracy and fraternity and sincerity and all the cities or whatever. But
Yeah.
when it comes to misaccountability, man, this is that man for some reason, uh, that's off the window. That's like don't talk about it, or it's like just totally ignored. So which is quite interesting. But here we're seeing here in the Middle East, um, and also smaller nations too, um, who are adopting blockchain, who are adopting, who are looking into Bitcoin, and I think this is really an interesting situation. So just want to like put this out there for those who are listening in, and um, just to get a sense of an idea, like wow, this is quite a change. So again, I think what I like about uh, Bitcoin is that I'm not a big fan of like public blockchains, but when it comes to governments, we need transparency,
Yep.
in this. So I think this is where, yeah, definitely I support that. So, but at the same time too, I also want to make sure that privacy is there for the individual like you and me. So because it is a human right. So this is something I would like to harp on. So
Yep. And the classic example is Satoshi Nakamoto. We can compare his case with, let's say, the sea of Telegram, isn't it? Because he is private, he is completely anonymous. At least he's not facing any legal problems as such. But when you
yeah,
talk about, let's say, a couple of blockchain, which are backed by, let's say, associations and foundations,
foundation.
that's where I tend to question, do they have the legal backing? Now, legal backing might sound great, but I'm not sure if they should actually be merging with, DAO, which is Decentralized or Distributed Autonomous Organization. But that's going to be really interesting to see what, the Russell Kema DAO is. Now, regarding Chainlink, Markos, there's one more update. And this is a partnership that they had with HBAR Foundation. And this is the Hedera hash graph, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
And they're also using, the cross-chain interoperability protocol. And, if you actually read through the official information, it's definitely great because with this information, with this merger, HBAR will have high quality data and, the nodes will be much, much more secure and they're definitely going to be more decentralized as well. And, Chainlink, I do believe is turning out to be a game changer. But regarding the token Markers, I really am not sure if the token prices as such would be pumped up because the use case that you see of Chainlink's CCIP protocol, it has pretty much nothing to do with the token as such or the price of the Link token. I wouldn't be surprised if the value of the price is exactly the same. But
it hasn't jumped out, and I think what I'm noticing, like currently with projects who have utility, they're not seeing a jump. But if it is, of course, if it's something like a meme coin or something like that, yeah, definitely there is a lot of like social mentions, just a lot of social velocity. Let's put it that way. But and I guess my suspicion is that I don't think most people get some of the utility stuff how useful, because for example, just like Orc, just like other good projects out there, are actually making revenues. They are actually solving a particular sets of problems in the marketplace. So they are solving problems, but it's even though we market it and stuff and all, but it doesn't register. It's similar with let's use Amazon. When it started, after the .com crash, so it was what, like $5, $8, something like that. But
it crashed by 90%, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yes. Remember that, guys? So, what most people didn't understand, most folks, regular folks, didn't understand that, Amazon was spending, millions and maybe almost $1 billion in building this infrastructure that, what do you say, which has made Amazon what it is right now. This behemoth is such a useful company where, man, I could order stuff and, get me one of these bad boys over here, so it's, it just takes time for people to really understand, oh, wait a minute. But sooner or later, like Chainlink, maybe Pith, or any good project that has good utility will rise up unexpectedly. So if you're going to DCA into some of these stuff, not financial advice, but this is, how do you say, based on research, based on past, based on history,
Yeah.
just plain and simple.
Yeah, and one thing which I liked, with the interview that I did with the CEO of Oat Foundation, that is Dr. Max Lee, he also said that, for technology, it does take at least 3 decades where we are actually seeing the actual use cases. So, he's talking about, the internet as well. After 30 years is when we can use, the different apps that we have right now. So hopefully, probably 2 decades time, we might be in a
Yeah.
world where everything is working on a 100% decentralized or distributed way. So let's see if that eventually turns out to happen. Now, in the next 3 minutes, Marcus, we are going to be having the managing director of the MENA region for Bitcoin Inc. And we'll go ahead and
Oh,
discuss
okay.
everything regarding the
Is it
Bitcoin
Bitcoin
MENA event.
Magazine or Bitcoin Inc.? Sorry.
The company is Bitcoin Inc. and Bitcoin Magazine is kind of like the brand that they have. That's what I think.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I just shared with some folks out there.
And after that, we'll have a teeny tiny discussion. Does blockchain require artificial intelligence, or does artificial intelligence require blockchain technology? But in the meantime, Marcus, what I thought we can tell our audience that next week, most likely a Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on your availability, we might go ahead and do a technical session on how the blocks are chained to the next block, isn't it? So we'll
I'm
go ahead
down
and
for
look
that.
at
Hey, a little bit of. I think I love to change the pace. I think especially for you. Hey, and also for me. Let's dive in some cool technical stuff. Something educational.
Yep. And we'll go ahead and look at, SHA-256, that is Secure Hashing Algorithm 256. Ethereum, I believe, uses something called as KSAT 256, so we'll take a deep dive into that. We'll also look at Merkle tree, so you know how the hashing algorithm works. That essentially gives you an idea how one block is chained to a next block. And let's see if time permits, we'll also go ahead and look at how the Bitcoin mining works, because all of these are kind of correlated, isn't it? So the long hash that you have, how that gets connected to the next block, and what is it that the miners are trying to solve. So, if any of the listeners do have any content or want to join us in that session, please feel free to, mention it in the comments, or you can send me a DM via LinkedIn or even Marcus a DM via LinkedIn, and we can definitely take it from there on. But that's essentially what we have for next week. And let's see, we're just waiting for Gregg Davis to be here. He should be here probably in a minute's time or so, because he seems extremely busy. I think he'll be there for 15 minutes. So if anyone has any questions,
that's good enough
they can always go and ask us. Yeah, are you attending the Bitcoin MENA session, Marcus?
I will be. I will be. Just right after Ethereum Riyadh 2024.
Oh yeah,
I'll come to the Bitcoin MENA. So, all right, we got Gregg in the building. All right, let's do this.
Hey Gregg, how's it going?
Howdy.
Well, I'm having a few technical issues over here, so my apologies. It doesn't seem to like probe or
no, it's all right.
Safari on my laptop, but all is good. How are you, gentlemen?
We're doing good.
Doing great. Thanks so much for repping with us.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
You can hear us fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me fine? I just had to come off of my AirPods, so I'm just maybe I can just try again quickly and make it a bit better.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Let's try that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds perfect to me.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, we're better.
Right.
Perfect.
All right. No, thank you for jumping in. And they're definitely excited about Bitcoin MENA happening in the capital of the UAE. So this is quite I would say it's a groundbreaking moment. So I'm sure you guys are totally stoked about this. How does it feel?
Yeah, I'm glad you're excited about it. We're excited about it as well, and thank you for highlighting the choice of the capital. And I'd like to say I played a little bit of a part in that. I'd actually used to work at the venue where Bitcoin MENA is going to be hosted, and somebody wise once told me that not everybody can work in Bitcoin, and some of the best things you can do is try to spread the good word of Bitcoin where you work in whatever job you're doing. And somehow I did that, and I reached out to BTC Inc. and said, and as I live in Dubai and it's been my home for many years, but I find sometimes the quality of the events that come to Dubai were, not exactly what I was most passionate about in the space. And Abu Dhabi is the capital, and it takes everything very seriously. And it's like I think the optics of having a Bitcoin-only conference in the capital speaks volume about the asset class.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Greg, for our listeners, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself and how did you get introduced to Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my name's Gregg, of course. I'm, as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm from the United Kingdom. I haven't lived there too much over the last sort of 20 so years. My background's actually boats and marinas. That was what I was.
Nice.
That's my sort of background, an ex-yacht captain. But you have a bit of time when you're on board boats to yourself, and I like to research and learn about things. And I'm from a family that was never super trusting when it comes to banks and things like that. My grandma used to stuff the mattress, and my mom has always preached to me about the dangers of debt, etc. So I was already kind of tuned into that way of thinking, and actually, I stumbled across Bitcoin in the same way as I think most people did, but didn't really take it very seriously. So then I went down the route of exploring Ethereum, and I got in a little, you could say maybe quite early in that. I actually lost all those coins, but and then trying to not in the best way for me either. And then I think it was really the kind of pandemic for me, really, when I started to really understand. Everybody used to talk about printing money, and I never really. I was like, yeah, okay, printing money, and then you find out that 40% additional money went into the supply, and all this inflation came, and that really just hit a nerve with me. And I think some of the features of Bitcoin really are starting to play out in what we're seeing in the world at the moment. And from there on, I just want to try and do whatever I can to spread the message.
That's absolutely great. And talking about printing money, Janet Yellen, who is the head of Treasury, a few days ago, she talked about printing another $1.3 trillion, essentially creating out of thin air. And this will be done in just a matter of 6 months. So, it's great. This is where Bitcoin kicks in. Now, Greg, what I tend to do is, I tend to ask every of my interviewees, how would they define Bitcoin? And I'm really curious to check, what is your definition of Bitcoin?
I'm sure you get many, many different answers for that question. Immutable, permissionless money is what it was all about originally, right? It's really important, I think, to be able to send money to whoever you want, whenever you want, and I think that's one of the fundamental things that people kind of get. You kind of get a little bit down the rabbit hole with Bitcoin, and you get into the energy aspect of it, and you get into the remittance aspect and the fixed cap. But fundamentally, just the ability for absolutely anybody to do that and to be able to perform a transaction, I think that's really powerful. And as a result of all those things, for me, Bitcoin, and I don't want to sound dramatic here, but Bitcoin is hope for me. Bitcoin is hope.
Amen to that.
I've lost quite a bit of faith in some establishments over the last few years, especially the pandemic and all those other things going on.
Yeah, same here, brother.
Yeah, I really just, for me, it gives me, it's something that is not perfect. We've still got a long way to go with it, but it gives me hope that there's some of the smartest people in the world are working on this thing, and it could for whether it be a blue collar worker or whether it be a nation state, it really can offer them an alternative to what I believe is to be totally broken money.
Absolutely, totally agree. Now, you mentioned you're from the UK, and I'm not sure what side of politics you're into, but Nigel Farage, he had a lot of problems with his bank, and he's now a massive advocate of Bitcoin. He does not like digital currency as such, and he's referring to CBDCs. But, regarding Bitcoin, it does good enough with that freedom. Now, on your LinkedIn profile, Greg, you say that, study Bitcoin, not crypto. Now, I personally liked it because, there are quite a lot of shitcoins in the space. So to our listeners, can you tell us what is important to study Bitcoin and not necessarily cryptocurrencies as such?
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you picked up on that on my LinkedIn. In the same way as I wasted a lot of time, I wasted a lot of time going, my first thing that I ever bought was Bitcoin. For whatever reason, I probably won't talk about it now, but it was for a reason. And then I kind of understood like the principles of it. But then I kind of got down the route of, I went down to Ethereum and, everything else, sort of ICO times, I kind of bought Bitcoin around 2015, 2016 for the first time. I didn't understand it, but I wasted time. And the thing is, the reason why I say study Bitcoin is because people, I asked my partner's father the other day, I said, how many hours have you worked in your life? And he was just like, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I said, and how many hours do you reckon you've actually spent understanding the thing that you're working for? This money that you strive for, and you put all of your, Jack Malice talks about your time and energy in abstract form. I love that because people work so hard, and I want them to study Bitcoin not as a cryptocurrency. I want them to study it as an engineering solution to broken money. And yeah, there's some cool things happening in crypto. I've got some, you could argue, some quite rare trainers that have got NFC chips in them that can, you can authenticate real world assets. And, I think that's really cool. I think there's like interesting technology, but fundamentally money is broken and people spend all this time and energy working and working for this money, which is just constantly, going down in value. And I think the smart play is to study something that is programmed. Yes, it's volatile, but it's the only market in the world which trades 24/7, 365, and is completely borderless. Wall Street closes at 5 o'clock on a Friday, so of course it's more stable. It's got things, we've been kind of programmed that because our money is so broken that actually they encourage us to gamble. They encourage us to go into Wall Street and try to find just a way to beat inflation. People, my parents did very well because they could buy houses which are affordable, and a lot of their wealth is locked up in that. But people of my generation just don't have that option to be able to just pile into real estate and bricks and mortar. So I say study Bitcoin and not crypto because I completely differentiate those things. Bitcoin is the hardest money that humanity has ever created, and crypto is there's a lot of cool tech, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but you have to be very lucky to pick one that's going to make you 100x and all these crazy things, or you just get into some community where your meme coin goes. That's just, you may as well go to a casino or place a sports bet.
I often call Bitcoin as the king of all kings, and you talked about broken money. The world still revolves around the US dollar, but there's this saying, the greatest meme of money is the US dollar. This is definitely where Bitcoin comes into play. Now, Gregg, you recently attended the inaugural Dubai Family's Office Investment Summit, isn't it? And you were the VIP guest. Now, what I wanted to find out is what is the general sentiment, particularly among, let's say, ultra high net worth individuals, the Royal Family Office, and high net worth individuals? What are their thought process regarding Bitcoin, particularly in the Middle East?
Great question.
Really great question. And I'll riff on a little bit of what I said on stage there, and it's a lot of the things that we're finding, by announcing and hosting and building up to Bitcoin MENA, there is a lot of interest from that sort of market with regards to Bitcoin. Some of these offices are always looking for what they would consider to be alternative investments, but the Bitcoin game changed as soon as we got those ETFs, as whether you like them or whether you don't like them. That changed the game for a lot of people, because something that Larry Fink of BlackRock used to stand on CNBC and says was the biggest scam in history, is now saying I'm gonna build a traditional finance product that is built around this asset. And I think that changed everybody's opinion of it. And then you can see what's happened with MicroStrategy, and I think this sort of information is starting to filter down to these people, which are people. There's investment managers working for these companies who are looking at and I said to them on the stage, I've heard a lot of people talking about we need to maintain profits and we need to have a solid plan for the future. And I don't think you can have a solid risk assessment of the financial world without it over a 10-year period, let's say, when you're there's no point in doubling your revenue in 10 years time if the asset that you're counting, the US dollar, is depreciating 50% in value. So I think there's starting to see that, the profits that they've made over these last few years, when you go to realize that profit, you're not able to buy what you thought you were going to be able to buy with it at the end, whether that, so people are searching, and, you can see the price of gold. That's a very traditional asset, and it's our job to, as Bitcoiners, as BTC Inc., who I represent, to really just try to, and this is where I think that this MENA conference is going to be really important. There's a lot of crypto events, and maybe even some of our events in the past, where we've done them, that they've been a little bit more community, and they've had a lot of things, exciting activations, and it's almost kind of fun. Which my event is going to be fun. There is going to be some fun elements, but you're going to turn up at Bitcoin MENA and you're going to see a really professional grade conference with high level speakers, and I want it to really match this this maturing life cycle that Bitcoin's in. We've hit this serious phase now, and I think we need a conference that's going to do that, and we've got a lot of interest from family offices and sovereign wealth funds to come and to meet some of our keynote speakers. And I think, especially in this part of the world where they're actually legally allowed to hold it, and there's a regulatory framework around it which is transparent. This is very uncommon still in the rest of the world. So they were interested. It was a sustainability summit.
Interesting.
And I said in an interview afterwards that I'm a little bit suspicious of some of these ESG mandates.
Exactly.
Tell me about it. Exactly. We're on the same page. I love it.
Yeah. Yes. But once I started talking to them about how Bitcoin can be used to, make renewable infrastructure more viable by mining at the source of energy creation, and how we're doing grid stabilization, how we're catching flared gas and methane and all kinds of gases coming out of landfills, and we're able to harness that energy and mine Bitcoin. I don't think when I hit that, when I got to that stage of my understanding of Bitcoin, that was a big moment for me. I don't think I don't think Satoshi really understood, or maybe I'm definitely not as smart as Satoshi. I'm not saying he didn't understand, but I don't think it was one of the key pillars. And I think that's one thing that Bitcoin's really going to, when it comes into this maturity, I think the energy aspect of it is going to become one of its very most powerful use cases when it comes to, energy is the core of our civilization, and we've got a lot of broken infrastructure. And if you can print money with wasted or lost or, potential energy, I think that's going to be extremely powerful. So I made sure I told them about that at the Family Office Sustainability Summit for sure.
Yeah, because for this ultra high net worth individuals and family offices, it's all about corporate social responsibility, isn't it? So I'm glad that you clarified a lot of these points. Now, talking about the Bitcoin MENA event, when was it that the decision was made to go ahead and have the event in Abu Dhabi? Was there a specific moment in time?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I will say I don't like to take too much credit, but I did send a couple of messages on Twitter when I was working down at the ADNEC Center in Abu Dhabi, and I said, look, we need to have a Bitcoin only conference here in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi. And that was a couple of years ago when one of the Satoshi roundtables was happening in Dubai. Mike Germano, who's the president of Bitcoin Magazine, came down, loved the location. We've got a very unique venue, which is right on a waterfront. And we've got a lot of interesting things that we're going to do to maximize on that. But it's been a couple of years in the making. And we announced it at the start of this year. And we've been building up to that ever since. And, we've just had a very successful conference in Amsterdam. And we also had our inaugural Bitcoin Asia event at the start of the year. So, we're in 4 continents now. So it's 4 countries. I can't say continents actually because technically we're Asia, but yeah, it's my bad geography showing us up there. But yeah, we've got a long-term plan for this conference, and this is the first one. We're very happy with who we've announced now. I'm going to just tease and say I'm very happy with the conversations that we have going on. I think we're going to have some extremely interesting speakers at the conference, and then of course we're aligned nicely with the Formula One, so you can go down, you can visit Abu Dhabi, you can enjoy the race day, and then the Monday morning maybe there'll be some sore heads, but people will be able to come around and join us at Bitcoin MENA for 2 days of Bitcoin gospel.
I think it's going to be absolutely epic, And Markose and we often talk about a week before that, the Spartan World Championship as well. And I sent up messages to a couple of them because some of the OGs of Bitcoin, they were very much into ultra running. And some of the guys immediately I sent them a message, they've extended their stay. So you'll be seeing a lot of pro ultra runner athletes at that event as well. Now, will we be having events, let's say, in other Emirates as well, let's say in Dubai or Ras Al Khaimah or the Emirates as well?
Yeah, I mean, our conference is called Bitcoin MENA. We didn't call it Bitcoin Abu Dhabi. Yeah. This is a conference for the Middle East and North Africa, and that was done strategically. We do have fantastic partners in Abu Dhabi, and the guys at ADNEC have got deep ties, and they are sort of semi-government entity, which really helps us with government support. And so we will be in Abu Dhabi for the foreseeable, and there's also desire within the organisation at ADNEC for their in-house organising company to branch out and to also host events in other places around the region. But definitely, I think for now, especially with the optics of this being in the capital, I think that's a really powerful, some powerful optics. So we'll be in Abu Dhabi for the foreseeable.
Oh, lovely. And I know for a fact that Trump is going to be there, and hopefully President Donald Trump gets elected, so the son of the President of the United States as that headlining speaker would be great. But are there any other speakers that will be available at that event, or any message you have for our listeners to keep an eye on any particular speaker as such?
Yeah, I mean, as I kind of teased a little bit, Donald Trump, when Donald Trump spoke at our Nashville conference, he didn't, it wasn't finalized until about 2 weeks before the conference opened. And it was still a little bit touch and go even then. So things happened quite last minute. Obviously we've got the election now in, I think, like 5 days, maybe. Yeah, maybe
5th of November.
5th of November. I think, I'm quite politically homeless. I think you asked me earlier what my political alignment is. I'm sort of I'm not really sure exactly where I lie anymore because each side has changed so dramatically just in my lifetime. But David Bailey, my CEO, is has been very much in the ear of the Trump team, and that's why he spoke at the conference in Nashville. And as a result of that, yes, Eric Trump is going to be at the conference. We've also got some other announcements for some other people which are kind of in the kind of Trump universe. Yeah. So certainly, I think, I mean, not just for my conference, but I think just for Bitcoin, I think a Trump victory will be the best outcome for our industry. I'm not saying that I fully endorse Trump's policies or the way he goes about things, but certainly, I think it looks good from that point of view. But no, I mean, we've got some people that I'm really excited about to have here. We've got, Alan Farrington, who's the author of Bitcoin is Venice, which is a great book. He's going to be there. Lawrence Lepard. We've got Max and Stacey are going to be there. They just did our Twitter space last night, which is great. And yeah, there's a lot of you can just have a little look on our website. We've got quite a few people listed there. I'm wearing my Rail Bedford shirt. We've got Peter McCormack coming out. Yeah, he's coming out, which is super cool. I've met him in Bitcoin Prague a few years ago, but excited to have him here. I'd love to try and get a sports team on a Bitcoin standard in this region. I think that would be something I would particularly enjoy. But but I will say that there is our team has got incredible. Scottie Pippen is going to be here. He's obviously a
nice.
Bitcoiner these days, so that's an exciting one if you're a basketball fan. Russell Okong is an NFL winning NFL player who was the first professional athlete to take his
salary
in Bitcoin. And also, if you have a look at our site, we've also really tried to. I go to a lot of Bitcoin meetups here in the region, and we've got a lot of really cool people that Stefan Navarro, great podcast. He lives in Dubai, big supporter of the conference. He's going to be there. We've got some good people, and when it comes to sort of the big names, I've been having conversations. I mean, working for a US company when you live in the Middle East, you end up having some late nights, but I've been having some very late nights recently with the programming team, and there is some big names in the pipeline. So I won't say too much more, but just be aware, we have ticket increases. We've just had a ticket increase this last week, and we will continue to be raising the ticket prices up until the conference. So, you can take my word for it or not, but don't try and buy when you FOMO in a week before the conference, and because you've seen somebody just take it from me. Our team are deeply connected, and you can tell we had whether you like him or not, to get Donald Trump to speak at a Bitcoin conference. That was our team that did that, and we're putting all of that power behind MENA. So there's going to be a great lineup for sure.
You know what, I'd like to see a lot of college students to be invited in this. And the reason, because my niece, she's 16 years old. She knows pretty much everything regarding Bitcoin. She has around 15 Bitcoins herself. So what about having... I mean, I did actually send a message to Peter McCormack a couple of years ago. This was, I believe, in 2017. So she knows pretty much everything, how Bitcoin works. So how about...
No small timers over here, man.
Man, that makes me feel so bad about myself.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, she does have quite a lot of Ethereum as well, but she's not much into Ethereum. The reason being why I wanted to ask a lot of college students, because in their school, they don't teach them about Austrian economics. And when you talk about Bitcoin, it does fall under the whole Austrian economics, isn't it? I'd really like to see a group of college students attending this event. Now, there might be a lot of cuss words, so we might have to meet them at that point of time.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it sounds like she's more OG than me, and I don't know if she appreciate you doxing the amount of Bitcoin she's got, but she's very welcome. She could probably make a good footing in our whale lounge. But look, we've got something in the works with that for sure. I'll tell you a little story. I've got this guy that he's like my crown jewel, let's say, of people that I've orange pilled. He set up a bank here for low-income workers, a very traditional finance guy, and we managed to turn him into a Bitcoiner. And he went to Cambridge in the UK, extremely well educated, but he did economics, and he's had to basically throw that book out, and he basically started all over again. And I think you're absolutely right. They don't teach those things. We're actually just about to launch and start promoting we've got a great ties through our strategic partners in Abu Dhabi to launch a student pass. So, we put on a high value conference. It costs us a lot of money to bring these speakers from all over the world to the Middle East. So the ticket price has to reflect that, but we also understand that there's a great, I think it's the New York University in Abu Dhabi. It's got a big technical arm, and we're going to be launching that student price ticket this week. So any students that are watching, keep an eye out on our website. We've got as long as you can prove your student IDs at the gate, you'll be given your heavily discounted ticket to attend. We want to see lots of the small kids in Abu Dhabi in the UAE to attend for sure.
But hey, Greg, I still have my US university email address.
It needs to be valid. Sir? Yeah, I'll check your expiry date.
I think I still have my my university ID. It doesn't show the expiry, but it shows I'm a student. Would that qualify?
Well, let's try. Don't trust, as they say, don't trust, verify, right?
Love it. I love it. Yes, there you go. Nicely said.
And regarding the New York University, I think they have a merger or partnership with Ripple, because I think Ripple is financing them for educating people on blockchain technology, which does not make sense because they don't use blockchain technology themselves. But it would be great to have that thing, yeah.
Hey, but George, they gotta start from somewhere. So, but it'll be a start. So hopefully we could get some more, Bitcoiners coming over here. Maybe do some kind of like a workshop camps or something like that. So hopefully that'll help, like strengthen, Bitcoin education in a unique way. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're very strict when it comes to like who we allow to exhibit at our conferences as BTC Inc. We have to make sure that we only highlight, even when we bring in exchanges, for example, all of their marketing collateral has to be, Bitcoin only, even if they do support other assets. But, and it's quite interesting. You've got a lot of, speakers that have approached us that, you see them online shilling dog coins or whatever it is.
Yep.
And we have to make sure that if we do think that they've I was going to try not to swear, but I've heard you say it. So shitcoiners are welcome at our conference, and we hope that they will go on the same journey as I have, and I'm sure pretty much most people here will go on. If you want to speculate and go and do that, no problem. But if you're going to talk about your pension, and if you're going to talk about your future in the long term, something that you're willing to put your hard saved cash into and to look at the future with a little bit of hope, you're not going to do that with a lot of these other tokens. They could all be completely, and a lot of the tokens that I really invested in before I learned the right way have become literally nothing. They've gone to zero. So Bitcoin's not going to zero. Most of the other stuff is. Come and learn about Bitcoin, and I promise you it will change your view on the world for sure.
Now, I'm not sure if you know, Gregg, and this is the timing or genius by David Valley. The event usually happens when the FOMC meeting takes place. So the timing of it, the FOMC meeting is every month. The Fed chair makes a decision to either increase it, reduce it, or keep it the same. It's going to be happening on the 11th or it's going to be happening on the 7th of this month. And the next date is when the Bitcoin MENA event is taking place. And the previous date was exactly when the Bitcoin Amsterdam event was taking place as well. So, I think clever timing, I guess.
The guys are, it's super surreal for me. And not to sort of fanboy a little bit too much, but, I followed David for years, and, to be working with him now and to see what he's done for Bitcoin and to what, to now be on calls with him and just, discussing the conference. And, he's somebody that I even had a call with his mother the other day as well, who's a fantastic lady, who's one of the board members of BTC Inc. It's an incredible family, and David is just such a visionary. He is the most, I think McCormack said it, he's the most Bitcoiner that there is. Now I've worked with him for a few months. I definitely agree with that. The FOMC thing, whether it's, there's a lot of factors that go into picking dates for conferences, so I wouldn't say it was particularly meant to be that way, but, that gives you just why everybody, and how crazy it is to me that everybody sits around every month to wait to see how much somebody else deciding how much your money is going to be worth. The whole concept of these FOMC meetings is just crazy. I know there's kind of a lot rides on it, and you have some short-term moves off the back of what this guy decides to say. But I choose to opt out of all of that, and I think most Bitcoiners do as well.
Yep. And for our listeners who are on LinkedIn, most of them are on the whole tokenization hype and AI hype. Any message for them as to why they should attend this particular event? Do you briefly touch base on that?
Well, you're setting me up here. There is, as I said, there is interesting things that can be done in the crypto space. Tokenizing real world assets is interesting. It probably will go that way with regards to the stock market. I don't. You're already seeing Wall Street talking about changing their operating hours, etc. And they need to modernize. That's for sure. So if this is the way in which they can modernize, then that's great. when it comes to sort of more broader kind of tokens and things like that, a lot of these things don't need blockchains. They don't. They really, really don't. You could achieve most of it on a closed Excel sheet.
Spot on.
So I'm just I plead with people to come and just don't look at the Bitcoin price and go, oh, it's 70K now. I can't afford that. And that's kind of what I did actually when I was in it. I was like, Bitcoin's like 5,000, so I can buy this thing which is 35, and then maybe one day it will be the same price as Bitcoin. Don't think
unit bias.
Yeah. So just look at it. Look at it. Did you know one thing? It's not a very popular opinion, but I actually think that one thing that they could do is actually make one Bitcoin called a Satoshi, and then Sats would be then Bitcoins. Like switch it around a little bit. So kind of you would get like 10,000 Bitcoin or a million Bitcoin to get to a Satoshi. I think that just as like kind of a because you're right, when you spend however much money you can afford and you get 0.00 Bitcoin, it's kind of a little bit demoralizing. But people just need to get out of the looking at the dollar value. If you're looking at the dollar value, but if you go to like Nigeria and you look at the Bitcoin versus the Naira chart, or you go to another country which is facing incredible inflation, like Turkey, you land in Turkey, you land in Istanbul, and all you see all around the airport is BTC Turk. People in these high inflation environments, they understand Bitcoin because they have to. We're quite. When you lose kind of 7% a year and it kind of just goes down, people almost don't realize it so much. But when you're in when you're in Nigeria and you lose 40% of your purchasing power just within 24 hours, it forces people to understand these things. So I tell people just learn about it. Come to our conference. Protect yourself against. You said they're going to start printing more money. When they print more money, it steals from people. Like in whichever way you look at it, whether it's they're stealing your time and energy or your future purchasing power. During the pandemic, where people were sort of outside Parliament in the UK being like, "We need to do something." This country's in debt, and you've got they're just going to print more money. And if people tell me the reason why we have massive inflation is because of a war in Ukraine, like there's probably some inflation in some certain aspects of the supply chains, etc. But when you print 40% additional money globally and you have the same amount of goods and services available, prices are going to go up. You've got all this money sloshing around. So, look at, if you understand, if you get gold, if you kind of get that, which is kind of, we're talking about this conference as, experience the golden age of Bitcoin as one of our lines that we're working with, because we're trying to, and I think it's really important. People don't have time, right? I've got a girlfriend, but I don't have children. I've got time on my hands. I listen to podcasts, I read, and I know a lot of people are busy, and I don't begrudge anybody that is just out there trying to make it work for them and their family. But you've got to, at some point, you just got to go, hang on, I'm working harder than I am ever, and I'm not getting any wealthier, and I see everything going up in value, and the salary which I earn or whatever, it just isn't going as far. And even people I meet here in Dubai, when I start talking about this to them, is people that bought, let's say, they bought a studio in JBT 5 years ago for 400,000, and they're like, oh, I thought I was a genius. I bought it for 400,000. Sorry, a one bedroom, 400,000 for a one bedroom back in JBT a few years ago, and now they've sold it for 800,000. And he's like, right, I'm going to reinvest now, and then he can't even buy a studio for 600,000. Now, I know that's a kind of a bad example because the Dubai property market is a beast, but
it is a good example. It is exactly a good example because I'm in the JVC area, so not far from JVT. So I mean, it is tough to get a studio for like less than the mill. So.
Yeah, we've got things in play here in Dubai, the population increase and all those sorts of things. But I think any sort of investment now, imagine being in I'm kind of invested in a Nigerian company which is doing some really awesome stuff. They've just been bought out actually, but imagine that you're a startup and you're doubling your revenue every year in naira, but the currency every single year is going down 60%.
Yep.
Like how does that even work? Like that's beyond me. How do you show value to your shareholders if the currency which is underlying all of your profits is just continuously going down? I mean, that is something that people are having to battle with, and that's one thing that we're really passionate about at BTC Inc. I think I would encourage anybody to look at the MicroStrategy playbook
Yep.
and what Michael Saylor is doing, and it's public knowledge as well. You can also look at what's going on with Meta Planet in Japan.
Yep. Microsoft could be next. Microsoft,
yeah.
their shareholder voting will take place on 10th of December. But I highly doubt it that they'll go and acquire any Bitcoin. But what I'd really like to see is a national state going ahead and acquiring Bitcoin and announcing it. So I'm not sure if you know of Simon Dixon, who's one of the OGs of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
He used to talk about Bitcoin principles even before Bitcoin was created. He's been talking about a country, going ahead and buying Bitcoin. More importantly, announcing it that they've got it and put Bitcoin as a reserve. I think that'll be an absolute game changer.
Yeah, we're working on that. Look, there's countries that hold Bitcoin. There's countries that are, look at what's going on in Bhutan, with their public mining operations. I know for a fact that there is other countries that are doing fun. I mean, it's in the public sector. It's public knowledge. The what's going on in Abu Dhabi with Marathon Digital and 02. They have all this excess capacity of energy from the summer when everybody's using ACs, and in the winter they've got all this capacity that's not being used, and they're trying to utilize that. So there is countries that are doing it. Obviously El Salvador was the first one to make it legal tender, but absolutely when it comes to nation state adoptions as kind of as a back for their currency and for their economy, I think we're only a matter of a few months away from finding out exactly who's doing it, who's doing what, and where.
The only thing I wanted to say is regarding the Bitcoin MENA event. I'm not sure if you know, the first cryptocurrency exchange in the world is actually from Dubai, not necessarily Kraken as such. It'll be great to have him as a speaker because the exchange was actually open going back to 2009. He joins in at the event. He knows some of the OGs. He might be connected with David Bailey.
That's what I mean. This region is built on this kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's always been forward thinking, even back when it was coming up, and we've, as I said, we've tapped into a lot of the OGs that live in town, and we're working on a few more as well. And if you've got any great recommendations or any contacts for us that we haven't exhausted already, I'd be love to put us in touch with them. And that's what we want to do. This is for this region. We're working with some great panels around how Bitcoin can be considered Sharia compliant as well, which is a really important aspect. There's Harris Fan is really
he's a brilliant
guy. Really interesting guy. He was on Stefan's podcast recently, talking about how they've had to build traditional finance products to try and tick a few of those boxes. But if you look at some of the fundamental, if you take cryptocurrency and move that away, I wouldn't say that could be considered halal, but certainly, so Bitcoin itself, we've got some interesting conversations on that topic, and Dubai, Abu Dhabi, UAE, this region is just, even going broader, into Saudi and Qatar and everybody. This is, I've lived here for 10 years. I feel like this is my home now. And as a Bitcoiner, I feel very confident in the leadership, especially in the UAE that I know very well, that they're taking the right decisions when it comes to this asset class. And, some countries around the world, like where I'm from and maybe where you're from, that people are taking a slightly different stance on that. And I'm just happy that I'm able to work in Bitcoin in this region, because I think we're all in the right place here, and it's there's a lot of potential here.
Absolutely.
No, it's a blessing, man.
Markose, do you have any questions, Markose, for Gregg?
I guess in terms of speakers, we've been talking about Bitcoin, but I would love for you guys to get some of the libertarian professors who are big supporters, or who teach Austrian School of Economics. I think that'd be kind of cool to have, just because because a lot of Bitcoiners also are big into gold too. So that is how we all started. So it would be kind of cool to like get people to understand the sound principles of money. So I that'd be kind of interesting. So
absolutely. I completely agree. There's somebody that we've got on the roster right now whose name is escaping me, but is from the School of Austrian Economics. Our team have got some big ties with some of the sort of Libertarian Party, which have spoken at some of our conferences before. But absolutely, gentlemen. I mean, I'm not. I'm definitely not the knower of everybody. So if you have, as I say, got some interesting names for me, I would be happy to be connected with them, and we'll get them on the stage.
Yeah. No, true. And actually, one of the dream speakers for Bitcoin MENA.
Come on, tell me, who do you want to see?
I would love to see Dr. Ron Paul. He is. The reason is that he was like to many of the I guess the libertarian Bitcoiners, like he was so the god. I would say he's kind of like the godfather of Bitcoin, because
he's Dave Smith's Dave Smith's hero, right?
Idol. He's a hero to me. I mean, thanks to him, I learned about what the Federal Reserve and how money is printed, and to have this conversations about gold and Bitcoin. So he inspired guys like Roger Ver, Jesse Powell, and many other guys, Eric Voorhees, and all these guys. So and also other guys who go to the Satoshi Roundtable. But that's how we get to free the money, free the markets, and free the world.
You can also say that possibly Satoshi Nakamoto may have been inspired by him to a certain extent as well, isn't it?
Oh heck yeah, totally, man! Look at the Bitcoin talk or the chats and stuff, and totally, I believe it.
We've actually got Satoshi Nakamoto coming to the Bitcoin MENA conference. Actually, at least who HBO say it is anyway.
Oh man, I think the documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but it does look like nonsense to be. Is it good or bad or?
I think it's a great. Of course, it's complete nonsense, but to have a it gives a really interesting insight to Bitcoin's origins, and I think anything from a major network like that can help put Bitcoin on people's radar. Adam Back was in Amsterdam when that was, which was when that was announced, and my chief of staff Brandon was interviewing me on the stage there, and he said it beautifully. It said, this is. I mean, Adam Back's in the documentary, but it's just. I think anything like that is good for Bitcoin. Nobody needs to know who Satoshi is. In fact, let's hope not one of those sats ever moves. But it's just I think just to have that kind of, even in the short time that I've really been into this, to see it on CNBC being spoken about in the way it is being spoken about now. It only ever used to be Max Kaiser that you'd ever hear talk about Bitcoin. Now everybody's talking about it, and now you've got this HBO documentary, which is on primetime American TV, and I think that's only good for people's understanding of Bitcoin.
Yep. Any good news about Bitcoin is always great publicity, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I like it when Bitcoin proves everybody wrong when it comes to the energy. Oh, it uses as much energy as Nigeria, or it uses everybody. That kind of conversation is really fun, and you don't really hear that one too much anymore now. Almost 50% of
We'd love to have Andreas Antonopoulos. I'm not sure what his stance is regarding Bitcoin Magazine, because he was the first speaker at the very first Bitcoin event, which was in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. If he's in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, that'd be absolutely great. He can do possibly a mini tour to every institution in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, just educating people on Bitcoin.
Most definitely. There's a lot of, we're very lucky that we've managed to get, Eric Trump, and as I said, there's a couple that we're just about to announce now. But there's a lot of things going on at the moment in the world, and I think around, after the sort of election result is finalised, I think there's going to be a big shift, and I think our conference is going to become, if it's not on everybody's radar right now, which our tickets are looking very strong, and our sponsors are really excited about the event. So from our perspective, it's going to be a really important and very well attended and successful conference. But I think if this Trump victory happens, and one of the first engagements of the Trump universe, let's say, his international sort of appearances, is going to be at a Bitcoin conference in the Middle East, I think it's just going to be
epic, man.
I think it's gonna. And then you've got the F1, which is the weekend before. Yeah. We've got the race. I don't know if you follow F1, but there could be that championship could well be decided in Abu Dhabi at the moment. So Lando Norris and Max Verstappen are very, very tight in the title. So it's going to be a big weekend for Abu Dhabi, and a big week for Abu Dhabi, let's say. And there's also lots of traditional finance people in Abu Dhabi as well for that week, which is the Abu Dhabi Finance Week, which we think Bitcoin complements.
Oh wow! Right.
Which it depends how you. I like to frame it as the fact that this is a beautifully complementary event to the Bitcoin conference and Abu Dhabi Finance Week. Of course, there's some traditional finance people that perhaps aren't so happy that Bitcoin's coming to town at the same time. But I think if the price keeps doing what it's doing, and we get an election result which is favourable to our speaker list, I think that's also going to be great for our conference as well.
And earlier today, I was speaking to one of the event organizers regarding the fintech session, and he asked me, what is Bitcoin, mate? And I said it's the purest form of money. That's what I just sent it to him. So hopefully, he gets to attend that event as well. And if President Donald Trump gets elected, hopefully he does, maybe David Bailey might just be the advisor, because he's going to appoint a Bitcoin advisory role to the president, isn't it? That'd be absolutely epic if that thing happens as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact that David's been very instrumental in getting that administration, that team to really understand and make a proper stance on Bitcoin. And if we get America on have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin, wow! I mean, it's whether you like it or agree with it, America is the leader of the free world, and people, if they move, people move, so and we're having some extremely exciting conversations, that's for sure. If we look at some of the maybe not the polls, but some of these prediction markets, it's looking, I don't want to say it looking likely, because it's politics and it can't be trusted, but it could be favourable for to. But even if it doesn't, even if the outcome goes the other way, Kamala Harris's administration has, I think, started to U-turn slightly now. I think they need to embrace. I think every person, every government, every nation needs to embrace the hardest money humanity's ever created. True. I think it just makes good sense once you fully understand it. So whatever the outcome, Bitcoin MENA is going to be an event which is certainly going to be worth attending. We've got some interesting things going on with not just with our stages, but some of our partners. We've got small hackathons running. We've got the Bitcoin Magazine live desk as well, which is going to be streaming the conference all over the world, which we do at all of our conferences now. And of course, being on the waterfront and with Abu Dhabi F1 around the marina, of course, we're going to have a few boats there as well for some of our VIPs. So if you pick yourself up a whale pass for our conference, you can a little bit. There you go. There's a little bit of alpha right there. But if we haven't quite fully announced that yet, but whale passes. We normally have our whale lounges, but we've got a nice boat for everybody to enjoy at the conference as well. So
absolutely great. Thank you so much, Greg, for doing this. Really appreciate you taking your time and sharing all of your information regarding this.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Greg. Do you have any questions about this, Vito?
No, for me, I just want to say, hey, Greg, first of all, thank you for your service to the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'm glad that, you're doing some great work, and also your team as well. I know you got a lot of people working behind the scenes making this happen. So we really appreciate you taking the time, but also most importantly, to make a really solid impact here in Sunnyside Dubai and the MENA region. So So I know me and George, we're totally excited. So we appreciate all the work you guys are doing. So I'm glad that you guys are doing a lot of heavy work.
And likewise. I hope it didn't come across. I'm sorry that I had to join on my phone and not my laptop. And,
no, it's perfect.
Oh no, this is perfect. No. We love it. Keep it raw, man. Yeah.
And big up to you guys as well. You're also out here doing some good work. So just try and get all of these blockchain, metaverse, NFT people to let's just get some more Bitcoiners on your show. That's all I'll say to you. But,
true, 100%.
All right. We could, hey, we're happy to, get some of them to come in. Just, tell them, send them our way. And,
welcome. Get yourself down to Bitcoin MENA. And please, gentlemen, you're very knowledgeable about the topic. So please, if you've got anything you can add, if you think there's any people that we might be missing on the roster, we're all on the same mission here. So please, whatever you can do to help add value to our conference will be very welcome.
Next week, we are doing a couple of sessions explaining how Bitcoin, more from a technical point of view, works. So, definitely try to get a lot of people attend that event. So.
Fantastic.
Thanks once again, Duet, for doing this. Really
thanks, Greg. You have a fantastic day, sir.
Have a nice week.
You too. Pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure. All right. And so,
that is
all right, man.
Markose.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that conversation, man. Didn't really have much to say. I'm just, I did some few things to say in terms of guests and stuff. It'd be cool to have Dr. Paul. So that'd be nice. I mean, just because, just to talk about the spirit of what Bitcoin means to me, in terms of, free the money, free the markets, and of course, free the world. And, it is, and I am totally stoked, totally excited. Even also Mike Robinson, who's the chairman of the Old Foundation, early Bitcoiner. I love to, we are glad to have people, do some great stuff in the Bitcoin ecosystem and just getting the word out there, and also, just understanding about the principles of sound money. That's, I think once people get it, I think we can see a great revolution and the evolution of, how we do business, how we do things, how we view profits, and that's kind of cool. I love what Gregg stated, when it comes to, all these profits. Yeah, you're making, so and so profits, but the problem is that the purchasing power keeps going down. And I think that's also a reason why too. I think, there are many things I disagree with, Michael Saylor, but if you're, thinking long term and storing your, putting your profits into Bitcoin, I mean, you're maintaining that purchasing power even better. So, because if he just holds $400 million, when he got in in 2021, right? He put in $400 million initially. So, or was it maybe earlier than that? Actually, I could be wrong.
No, it's got to be 2020, 21, around 2020,
2021. Because I remember December, so he put in over $400 million. So instead of just, because Warren Buffett, all these other guys, they have incredible amounts of cash, but they didn't want to, but they're just keeping it in a bank account. But after 5 years, 10 years, I mean, that value of the $400 million becomes $350 million. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy. So, and this is where Bitcoin comes in. And I'm glad he also talked about the energy use, because, early in Bitcoin, a lot of the miners, a lot of the folks were using renewable energy. I mean, the first one was in Iceland, using volcano energy, geothermal energy. We were the first ones to start using renewable energy to power, the mining processes, so we were early. We were already into sustainability. We were, because it actually meant something. It was not just talking points just to appease Greenpeace or any other, woke folks and stuff. It was just because it made business sense. But it also made, and I think that's the beauty about Bitcoin is not the technology, but the incentive, the flywheel mechanism of getting different actors, different participants get together. And I think that's what got me into Bitcoin. So, and I hope that other people see that too.
And when you talk about Austrian economics, I think I mentioned about my niece. I asked her, does she know anything about Austrian economics? And she's like, no, we don't have it in the syllabus. Then when I explained it to her, she was like, it does make a lot of sense, the whole free market.
Yeah.
I think the market decides the price and everything. And we at our place, we often have, kind of like a healthy debate. So I asked her to have a healthy debate with my grandfather, or rather my dad, her grandfather. Are regulations needed? Are regulations not needed? What are the benefits and drawbacks of it? Now, she did have an advantage. She was allowed to use ChatGPT 4.0, so she absolutely smashed the debate hands down. So, it's great to have, I do think at the Bitcoin event, it would be absolutely great if you have a lot of students attending that, especially college students, or even school students. I think that'd be absolutely, absolutely great. Now, I kind of agree to what Gregg said, Markose. I don't see any use case of blockchain technology as such, because we've often discussed this about decentralized apps.
Yeah.
There are no use cases. The number of DeFi that I looked at today is absolutely horrendous. It is below the $5 billion mark. So I wanted to have a quick discussion with you, Markose. I mean,
sure, let's do this.
Does blockchain technology need artificial intelligence, or does artificial intelligence need blockchain technology?
Blockchain.
So I do think that, and this is going back to what the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, said, that the cryptocurrency world definitely needs a ChatGPT moment. And I do feel that it's blockchain technology that needs artificial intelligence. So, I do feel that there are very limited use cases of blockchain technology as such.
I think for that, what do you call that, ChatGPT moment for blockchain and crypto, does it need AI? Personally, I would say yes, just because, Apple has Apple Intelligence. I have Venice.ai. You got ChatGPT on your phone and stuff. So if I have that, so many people do. Even about some of my folks in church too. I mean, they were talking about ChatGPT and stuff, and how it's going to affect their workspace. So for blockchain to have that ChatGPT moment, in many sense, you need AI because it does relate to a lot of people. But I will add that blockchain, in the words of Dr. Maxley, who is the CEO of Ort and Ort Foundation, as well as he's the associate professor at Columbia University, AI needs blockchain for trustworthiness. So this is where, I feel in certain aspects, when it comes to, for example, we use data labeling. We show that, hey, this is a human verified data. So you use, some aspects of blockchain and CKP to ensure that, hey, you know what, this is not coming from a labeling team or a company in Nigeria or India or any of the global south, where you don't really know how they label, it's sort of like a black box experience. So this is where, I think blockchain can play an important role in AI. But
yeah, I kind of agree to it, but when it comes to, let's say, supply chain management, I did actually send a message to this when Memecoin was launched. I very strongly feel that there is no place for blockchain technology with supply chain management, and I'll go ahead and explain very
okay, that part I agree with you. That part I get
because we discussed, right, when product moves from one part to part B to part C to part D, part 1, 2, 3, 4, there is a very high possibility when it reaches, let's say, the second point, a notorious person can take the actual physical product, just replace the barcode, and in the blockchain technology, it shows us the authenticity of the product. So I don't think so that blockchain technology merges well with supply chain management as such at all. On the contrary, I would also make a statement that using blockchain technology, or the promise of blockchain technology, it is possible that fake and counterfeit products can appear to be genuine. So let's say if there is a watch moving from 1, 2, 3, 4 location, and if I know that people are trusting blockchain technology, what I will do is, Markose, I will take the actual physical watch, I would replace it with a duplicate watch. The only thing that will be there is the barcode, isn't it? So I can very carefully take that barcode, put it onto the fake watch, and I'm hoping that, the barcodes barcode gets cryptographically hashed, and that's how it goes into the blockchain. And that is precisely the reason, next week I'd really like to go ahead and share how blocks actually chain to the next block, and we can look at Bitcoin's use case. Because it is exactly the same what Bitcoin, how blocks are chained in Bitcoin is the same how it is done in Ethereum, slightly different to how it is done in Monero. But Solana, pretty much everything, it is exactly the same.
Sure.
HBAR or Hedera, that works completely different, isn't it? That works.
It's on the Gossip protocol. It's totally it is distributed ledger technology, not blockchain. That's what it is.
And regarding does AI need blockchain technology, I really am not sure. I honestly feel, Markose, that this is a tool used by a lot of CEOs, CTO, and tech founders to go ahead and combine both of these words, AI and blockchain, get more funding. I'm not sure what happens after they go ahead and launch the token, because I'm not sure, Markose, if you know about this project called as Golem. And this was during the
right. Oh, it's an old project. You're talking about like what, 2016? Yeah. Then to deepen, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they are into deepen, and this was slightly before Ethereum. I mean, both of Ethereum and Golem was simultaneously to be launched at the same time. So at that point of time, Ethereum was termed to be as the first world computer, and Golem was called as the world's first supercomputer. Now, in the show notes that I've shared it to you, Markose, I've also gone and put out a YouTube link. We can maybe put it for our audience to go and check it. And this goes back to 2015. Or, in the show notes, we can go and mention it so listeners can go and check it. This is almost a decade old, and Golem was supposed to be the first world supercomputer. So, I'm not sure what has happened to that, or rather the actual terminology that they used was worldwide supercomputer, and that worked on Deepin. Now, Wood Foundation works something similar on Deepin, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have our own edge devices called Demos. So people can purchase it. It's kind of like think of the Apple Mini PC. It's like a little box. So even your phones, your laptops are considered as edge devices. So you could participate in a network and be part of the storage network. So essentially, when it comes to port storage, we combine data centers to your edge devices, and when you say store your data and stuff, it gets sharded and it goes to like different places. So that way you maximize your privacy, but also lower your costs. Because we are utilizing different, we have partnerships with Tencent Cloud, different centralized storage providers and decentralized storage, and we also have our own as well. So that's how we use some aspects of decentralization in the mix. So.
Yeah, and earlier on today I was reading an article by Cointelegraph which actually stated that a blockchain running with 1 million transactions per second does not have the bandwidth to go and handle Deepin or decentralized physical infrastructure. So it's going to be really interesting to see. To be honest, I don't think so. The perfect match will be available at least for a decade. Maybe after a decade, we might be able to achieve where blockchain actually merges with AI and vice versa as well. But maybe we can do another session discussing, does blockchain need AI or does the AI need blockchain technology or something, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, it'll be. I'm open to the idea of even having Dr. Maxley.
That'd be great, yeah.
To cover that topic. So because it is a honest conversation, and we totally understand people's skepticism, because right now it's like super trendy, right? To hey, we have AI this, we have AI that, okay, but I think the question is really boils down to the details, like how blockchain is being used. So this is where it makes sense, and especially when you brought that example of supply chain. Yeah, it sounds sexy to bring use blockchain, like for example with with these shipping companies and all that stuff. In terms of documentation, I get it. Like you just try to simplify stuff, I guess, potentially. But when it comes to tracking, like say your food or your watch, there are possibilities of, just like how there are various attack vectors that can theoretically happen on Bitcoin or maybe other other cryptos. Same thing with companies, their supply chain, if they're implementing blockchain, because again it's the human implementation. So
now when you're talking about permission blockchain, then everything is possible. But permission blockchain is something similar to which Gregg has mentioned, isn't it? Just a glorified Excel spreadsheet, to be honest. Nothing more.
Yeah. So that part I get it, because I don't know, because everyone is trying to use blockchain for again. Because I remember a couple of years ago, I had this conversation with folks like, you don't need to have blockchain for everything, because there are certain cases. The same thing with even also in the AI space too. If you're talking about like data sets and research and all that stuff, you can use blockchain to verify that, hey, like for example, this data set is coming from an actual human being. It's not an AI derivative. So because right now, one of the main concerns right now at the current timeline is that most of the data is created by AI. So if you're like into research or something like that, you want like quality data. So this is something, blockchain technology or Web3 can play an important, particularly in data pre-processing, because when it comes to data sets and stuff, actually you need humans involved in the process. So currently with OpenAI, all their pre-processing is done with professional labeling companies in Nigeria, a couple of months ago in Kenya, but they get paid like $2 an hour. So now the question is how they do it, and yada yada yada. I mean, like it's a black box experience. So this is where like you need transparency. I think blockchain can do that. So in that area, yes, yeah. But other stuff,
we will definitely have discussion, on this. And hopefully in the session that we do next week, we'll try to touch base on these points as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yeah, man.
That's good. I think we're pretty much done, Markose, isn't it?
Yeah. And I am grateful that Gregg got to spend some time with us. Really appreciate it. I know he got quite a busy schedule, but definitely I'm appreciative of sharing his insights and stuff. And I know like some people are actually, I got some comments. Some people actually enjoyed the chat, so glad we got to do this, and appreciate you, George, for making this happen.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for joining in as well.
All right.
I think that's about all, Marcus, isn't it? We all set for the weekend. At least it's weekend.
Yeah. I know I still got work, man. Man, damn. But a special update from Mike A. Robinson. He's here in Sunnyside, Dubai, attending Binance Blockchain Week. He'll be here till November 5th. So definitely would love. I don't know if time permits. I think they definitely will love for you, George, to meet up with him in person, in the flesh. So that'll be fantastic if you can make that happen. But other than that, if you're watching us right now, do let us know if you're hitting up the City Walk area. Beautiful location, beautiful, and also great steakhouses, by the way. I just want to put that note out there. And yeah, that's the only update I have so far. And George, what's up? What's the update?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was supposed to say regarding City Walk. It just completely. Oh man, I completely forgot. Maybe completely forgot. Lost track of. Yeah, I think pretty much done, isn't it? And for anyone who's into fitness, this is what anyone who's into fitness in the City Walk area, there's Dubai Fitness Challenge going on. So, there are loads of fitness activities that you can go and do at least for the next 30 days. They just started on the 26th of October and it is taking place on the 26th of November.
Yeah.
So, I think anyone who's into fitness, and I'm traveling to Hatta for stand-up paddle boarding on Saturday and a couple of trail running events on Saturday as well. So.
Oh, wait. This Saturday, you mean?
This Saturday, yeah.
Oh, you did tell me about it. Oh, dang. Okay. On the 2nd. Okay. Let me see. Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, yeah. No, but I know you did invite me to come. But,
Yeah, would love to do one podcast session, on a stand-up paddle board, discussing, either fitness or cryptocurrency or blockchain, and sorted out the way how to do it. We just require someone who's willing to stand for an hour and discuss work related.
I think we can. I think that's possible. I think we should try. I think I'm down for that idea. So
let's
aim for that.
Definitely could be interesting. But yeah, I think that's about all, isn't it, Markose?
Yep. But hey, guys, thank you for joining us in this unfiltered chat on our weekly crypto, blockchain, AI, and we have our special guest, Gregg Davis. He is the managing director of Bitcoin Inc. Right?
For the MENA region.
For the MENA region. So him and his team are the ones organizing Bitcoin MENA in the capital, Abu Dhabi. So definitely recommend you guys to get your tickets, and for all the students too. This is a monumental opportunity for you guys to check out what is Bitcoin and how it is going to bring this revolution in sound money. So there's definitely some great speakers coming in, and also we also got a nice teaser too. So this is one for the ages, fam. So anyways, y'all be good, y'all be safe, and we will talk to you soon. Y'all have a fantastic week. Bye for now.